History tells us about kings, emperors, and conquerors, but there was one ruler who wore no crown, commanded no official army, and yet controlled the world from the shadows. He was called the Godfather. The Godfather was a native of Italy. He was the first person in the world to give crime a scientific foundation. He was also the originator of famous concepts such as a state within a state and the underworld. He formally established institutions where criminals were trained in crime. In other words, he introduced the idea of criminal academies and criminal students. He also created an international network of criminals. A famous saying about him was that he was present in every corner of the world even before the telephone bell rang. He set up proper laboratories for the production of weapons, narcotics, and forged documents, and assigned these laboratories the task of inventing ever new methods of crime. He formed for international assassination squads, recruiting into them the most ruthless, cruel, and terrifying individuals, people who, after killing others, would wash their faces and hands with the blood of their victims. Eventually, a time came when all the major rulers of the world trembled at the name of the Godfather. Their breaths would catch in fear. The Godfather became a terror, a black storm, a symbol of dread, a fear that seeped into human veins. The beginnings of the Godfather were fascinating and thought-provoking. He started as a small-time criminal, but nature had endowed him with unparalleled leadership abilities and countless talents. He was an expert at forming groups and rackets. He was a visionary and an innovator who always thought 2 or 3 decades ahead of his time. In 1934, he devised a remarkable plan. He hired the services of several university professors and retired politicians. The professors toured all the universities of Italy and prepared lists for the Godfather of the most intelligent and capable young students, while the elderly politicians provided him with the names and addresses of those individuals who were likely to become major politicians in the near future. The Godfather granted scholarships to all these students, had them educated at the finest universities in Britain and the United States, and then arranged their recruitment into major government, semi-government, and private institutions in Italy. He supported small politicians and brought them into the political mainstream. He gathered lawyers and succeeded in having many of them appointed as judges. He made people from his racket ambassadors, advisors, and ministers. He turned his people into industrialists, traders, and brokers. He trained them as bankers and economists. Many of his people became legal experts and writers. Initially, these individuals spread across Italy and later throughout Europe, and in time they took control of the economies and politics of numerous countries. Meanwhile, his son, Godfather II, expanded his father's network to the United States, Latin America, and Western Europe, bringing half the world within their sphere of influence. There was a time when, on the Godfather's orders, laws across Europe would change. He was, in reality, the uncrowned king of the entire world. Anyone who intended to file a complaint against the Godfather turned out to be his own agent. The person who had to sign the report, the one who affixed the official seal, the one who issued the arrest order, the one who conducted the raid, the one who presented him in court, the lawyer who prepared the charge sheet, the politician who drafted a law against him, and the minister, advisor, or prime minister who held a press conference against him. All of them were on the Godfather's payroll. Every one of them began their morning by touching the Godfather's feet. Thus, he penetrated the very veins of power and authority across the world and came to be regarded as the true ruler of the world. In 1973, the United States switched this Godfather system on and made it part of its foreign policy. To understand how the Godfather system reached the United States, one must study the Vietnam War. On the 6th of March, 1965, the first American soldiers set foot on Vietnamese soil. This war lasted 8 years. In this nerve-shattering, prolonged conflict, the United States suffered severe financial, political, social, and military losses. On the 29th of March, 1973, the last American soldier withdrew from Vietnam and returned in defeat. Apparently, the United States lost the war, but the war turned it into a Godfather for the first time. The United States realized that it could not conquer and rule the entire world solely on the basis of weapons, armies, and dollars. Therefore, if it wished to become a global superpower, it would have to follow the Godfather formula. It would have to place its own people at every level in the third world, from university professors to prime ministers. It would need to take control of every major sector of the world, including the military, judiciary, bureaucracy, police, media, and politics. The United States made this decision and began implementing it. It selected capable students from the third world, granted them scholarships for higher education, educated them at the best universities in the United States and Europe, and then placed them in influential and sensitive positions in their home countries. The United States brought young bureaucrats to its own country under the pretext of technical training, indoctrinated them, and then installed them in key positions back home. It trained military officers in its academies, instilled an American mindset in them, and sent them back to their countries. It trained legal experts in American philosophy and had them appointed as judges. Today, under the guise of training and modernization, the United States implants Americanism into the minds of prominent scholars from the third world, which is an extremely dangerous game. It placed its people in tax departments, introduced its agents into industry and business, positioned its supporters in the front ranks of politics. And in this way, within just 3 decades, the United States became the godfather of the entire third world and more than half of the second world. It is now the true ruler of the world. It has set up factories for prime ministers in New York and Washington and begun exporting prime ministers in large numbers to the third world. All of these prime ministers resemble local people in appearance, mannerisms, language, and style, but inwardly they are entirely American. Living among local populations, they ensure the protection of American interests. The United States also supplies the third world with finance ministers, commerce ministers, and modern tax and debt advisors in abundance. As a result, it is often known in advance which finance minister, foreign minister, and defense minister will be appointed when a new government comes to power under the pretext of teaching economic improvement strategies. The United States also brings local traders, industrialists, and real estate tycoons under its control and continues to manipulate the economies of the third world through them. Under this same formula, all the rulers and monarchs of the third world have transferred billions and trillions of their wealth to American banks or to European countries under American influence, turning them into true puppets. Their hearts, minds, and tongues beat in unison with the United States. The United States also turns the media of the third world into its plaything, using it to alter the culture of these societies. It prepares the budgets of more than 100 third world countries in Washington. Sitting across 7 seas, it sets prices for essential commodities: sugar, cooking oil, pulses, clothing, and even fuel for the third world. In reality, at this moment, it is the godfather ruler of the entire third world. The biggest wars are not fought with weapons, but with minds, systems, and silence. Don't miss the next Untold reality hit. Subscribe on Real Story Hub and become part of the truth.